Oh, this is going to be the Earl challenge. I did things in my kitchen. You might do that. Tell about yourself based on what's in your kitchen. I did books. You could share who you are as a human being based on your interest in books or magazines or printed material of any kind, or nature malt liquor. Drink to the top of the label, or wherever, or whatever. Because the 29J Jones challenge, I'll tell you what's wrong with that, other than it's issued by a guy that broke his own camera. You just had one, huh? 29J Jones? Jones? Just had one camera? The fuck? Like, my phone has a camera on it. Well, there's a camera right there. I've got like a regular Canon shot. It was like 80 bucks. It's nice. Has a zoom. Take photos. There's a camera on my webcam. There's a camera, I believe, on my iPod. I've just never used it. Frankly, there's probably even a backup camera on my van. So I broke my camera, so I can't make videos. Sounds like Dorf's wife got to you. But thank God that finally happened to Dorf. Anyway, music. Music about me. And, God, we might do food as well. When I listen, I was going to play music too, but I'm not going to do it. It always ends up causing trouble. When I was younger, listening to Iron Maiden, I thought Iron Maiden was what all bands wanted to be. I'm like, why aren't they all trying harder to be Iron Maiden? Iron Maiden's the ultimate. Speaking of which, they wrote a whole lot of songs about books. Their songs told stories. There was like a theme. Wonderful. Rush. And when I first heard Rush, I'm like, what the fuck's up with this guy singing? And then I thought, this is amazing, because he doesn't sound like you expect. He doesn't have like a radio voice. It made me think like anybody who wants to sing can sing. Doesn't matter what you sound like. What matters is that you're singing and what you're saying, you know? The Red Varchetta, the song about the trees. Lots of Rush songs tell a story too. But it's not only like my childhood, but about travel. Traveling across the United States was right when, fuck, what was that song, that dance song? The Macarena. I was traveling, but sometimes I had a radio, sometimes I did not. I tended to buy these little cheap radios and they'd break easily. And, but as cars were zipping by me, I kept hearing little snippets of, Macarena. So that song, terrible as it is, reminds me of one of the greatest times of my life. I have some music by Titus, an Australian band. These three ladies, beautiful women. That reminds me of my time in Australia. When I listen to that, I'm like transported. Australia was the only place that I thought was comparable to where I live right now. Except, you know, not like that outside. More like a subtropical paradise. The first laptop I got, I was able to buy when I was living in a tiny house, and back then people thought that living in a tiny house must be a nightmare, so I was house sitting everybody's house. So I finally just started telling people no. House sitting's a pain in the ass. And they all thought that it would be wonderful for me to have light switches and shit, which was kind of fun. But anyway, I would go into their house with my laptop and pretty much spend the entire time I was house sitting them burning all their music. And so sometimes before that laptop crashed, listening to that music reminds me of that time. And when actually the laptop crashed, I thought about trying to rig up some way to download the information off the laptop. And I just thought, just let it go. Let the past be the past. A lot of songs from that exposed me to a wider variety of cultures. Like Bugs Bunny getting me hooked on classical music. Discovering that the largest amount of movies produced wasn't in North America, it was in India. So getting like connected to like Bollywood and the wonderful, wonderful music that's classic in a Bollywood movie. Going to the library as my source of free entertainment and the way I could watch YouTube videos back when I was living in a tiny house, and I would go get a bunch of books. I was going to get like 10 books, and I think they did something. At one point in time, I got like 20-some plus books, and I walked up, and I got as many books. I got books past their limit. And they're like, sorry, you can't check out all these books. And I'm like, really? Because, I mean, I even brought like a plastic thing, a bin. I even brought a bin. I knew I was going camping for, I think, a couple weeks. And I said, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm going camping. I've made preparations to make sure the book stays safe. Out while I'm out in the forest, and the guy's like, okay, hold on a second, and he did some things on his computer, and he's like, okay, you're good. And he checks out all the books, and I never had a limit ever again. I don't know what the guy looked for. I don't know. Maybe it was just my kind of like, rather than like, I want to talk to your manager, I was like kind of like this disappointment, like, because I just grabbed a whole bunch of books based off their covers or their titles or even sections in the library. I was walking around grabbing things. And maybe it was just kind of like just my honest disappointment of like, I thought this whole trip was going to be dedicated to the libro, you know? I wanted to go out there and read books for weeks out in the woods. That was my vacation. And this guy made it happen. Oh, fuck, music. But while I was doing that, I would get my laptop plugged in, and I'd grab a bunch of music by Rugby, which is music from all around the world, where I really discovered more Asian music. Like, there's a certain style, fuck, I can't remember, I want to call it Mandarin or something like that, but like, I'm going to try to sing you some. Please don't take this as a sound bite and make me look like an idiot. But it's like two singers, a high-pitched singer and a low-pitched singer. It's like, and it's just like there's like a male and like, well, who fucking knows, but like a bass and a kind of an alto, and they kind of pass it back and forth, and then they start going together. I've put it in some of my music, some of my videos back when my editing software worked. And I don't know, it's just kind of transporting. Like, I don't know what they're singing about, but their music's captivating, and I try to get a feeling of like, what are they singing about based on how I feel while I listen to it. Is music a transcendent language? Feng shui son français son quoi? I love that. The inflection and the notes that go with the words. So two words almost pronounced the same, totally change based on inflection. I think that I got hooked on that. Like, I started to go back on books again because, like, I think music and books are what exposes you to a wider world than what's inside your head, which I think is what most people's problem is. Like, their whole world is inside their own head, and then like their reactions to life is based on how that meshes with what's in their mind. You see people angry and miserable or confused, or they behave in a way that seems almost kind of abhorrent. Like, how could you be happy like that? And they're not happy like that in many cases. There's this kind of like sad, angry, happy that I see in some people. I see these like fixed, frozen smiles on faces. I watched this guy take this woman and her child out on a boat trip, and I could tell that they didn't know each other very well. And this guy was just an asshole. And he showed up at this beach that I was at, and he was immediately an asshole to me, and he immediately interfered with what I was doing. And then he had like a laughing story. Like suddenly, like now I'm interacting with him, and I'm like, I'm not here to hang out with you, buddy. Like, go hang out with your people. And at one point in time, he wanted help with the boat, and he demanded this woman come help him with the boat, and she turned to her child to like make sure the child was okay and supported in the like the little baby cribby thing that it was in. And the guy said, "Never mind him, come help me." And the woman kind of froze, almost like she started to respond to him, and then very like refocusing went to, you know, tuck in the baby and make sure that the baby was fine, and then kind of stomped over and helped the man. And I looked on his face to see if he had like realized the kind of like mega social faux pas he had made, like telling a mother to disregard her baby. But he smiled. It's like, well, you might have delayed, but you did it. And I went to leave. I couldn't stand it anymore. A guy was just destroying my time. I had a kayak there, and I was loading it up. And, he's like, "You need any help pushing in?" And I'm like, "You know what? Since you've addressed me, I just want you to know that like you really interfere with my having a good time here today. Like, it seems to me that the way that you enjoy yourself is to upset other people, and I hope that you acknowledge that someday. I hope you realize that upsetting other people is not going to make your life any better." He just smiled right at me, and I looked at the woman with him, and she had this like kind of grim face, like she was hearing my words, like she was with a dick. And oddly enough, I think that connects to books and music. I think that like listening and feeling, and listening and remembering, and reading and experiencing different lives, and thinking about different perspectives keeps you from being somebody that's closed off from everybody around you. You might not be totally connected, but at least you won't be in a place of mystery where you're like, well, I'm only connected to myself, so I'll just work that out, and everyone else can go fuck themselves. Mulliker. Top of the label. That's far enough, I think. I really think that should come in.